All right, so I'm going to quickly walk you through really how nerchur does its magic a little bit on how we track people. If you understand how it works, then it'll keep you from maybe making some pretty common mistakes that could skew things like who your recent visitors are or text messages. I'm sure as you've run along, maybe you've started getting text messages on individuals and the number seems a lot higher than it should be. So let me explain a little bit first how it works. Hopefully then you'll maybe avoid making some mistakes, and then we'll walk you through screen by screen how you can go through and maybe make some adjustments to mitigate some of these issues, and then to correct things down the road if perchance any of these things do happen. So really quickly, the system's set up so that when you send one email, so this is you, we've got one email going out, the computer actually replaces all of the links that are located in the email itself with specific code that goes to the exact person that you're trying to reach. So this one message then gets broken down into individual ones, and it knows that, you know, if this guy's name's Bill, that this email is being sent to Bill, so that when Bill actually clicks on it, we know who to assign the IP address to. And that's how we're tracking people, is through their IP address. Think of your IP address as like a physical address for your computer. So let's just say, for instance, Bill's IP address is 5. It's an 11-digit number actually, but for this sake, so let's go with 5. What that does then is it records back in nerchur that Bill is 5, okay? And let's just say these other individuals are 3 and 2. The interesting thing is that you also have an IP address where you're located. So let's say your IP address 1. This is where things start to get a little complicated. This seems pretty easy. But what if Bill replies back to you with the message and says, hey, I'm really interested in that item in the photo that you sent. And let's say you're not real familiar with the email that went out, and so you look through the email and you see a link and you say, oh, well, I'll just click on the link, I'll see what he's looking at. So then you click on the link. Now what happens is the system also adds your IP address to his stuff. So now when you go to the website, it looks like Bill's going to the website. So if Bill goes once and you go once, it shows him coming twice, because now it's tracking your IP address because you clicked on something. I hope that makes sense. Another issue that can happen, let's say Bill decides to forward this message on to a colleague that you don't have the email address for. Maybe you don't know who this person is. And he sends the message to this guy, and let's say that guy's IP address is 6. Again, he just forwarded the message, so the guy gets the email and goes, oh yeah, I'll click on that too. So he clicks on it. Now all of a sudden, we're tracking 3 different IP addresses for Bill. It's not so bad if those are 3 different computers that Bill's working from. Let's say he's got a home computer that he's clicked on the link. Let's say he was out of the office and used his phone and clicked on a link. And he did one in the office. You could potentially have 3 IP addresses anyway, but they're all only associated with Bill, whereas these now are associated with Bill, with you, and his friend. The other issue that we run into, and this is a much more common thing, if you're dealing with multiple individuals at the same company, let's say all 3 of these people work at the same company. Since they're in the same company, typically an IP address then is assigned by their location. So all of a sudden, because all 3 of these people are in the same company, they all get assigned the IP address of 5 because that's the IP address for the company. So if you've got 20 contacts at the same company and they all click on the link, that shows 20 visits to the website. And if you're tracking to say, I want a text message every time somebody hits the site at least 3 times, you just got 8 9 text messages right there, and it's going to do it for all 20 people. Now, the nice thing is that you know somebody at that company is viewing the website. You might just not know who that specific individual is. So when you have companies with multiple individuals at the same company, the tracking may not be as helpful on an individual basis as it would be just knowing what company is showing some interest. And then you would have to do some additional follow-up maybe to figure out what person. All of these scenarios can happen, and I'm sure they're happening already with you. Again, what we're going to try to show you is maybe, first of all, how to remove your IP address so that they're never a part of it. The second thing is, what do you do when maybe I'm getting multiple people from the same company and I really only want Bill's information out of the 20. Maybe I only want to watch him and I don't want to even care about the other 19, but I just still want him getting emails. Or there's going to be the occasional time when maybe Bill forwarded to a friend and it's just tracking weird. You're going, wait a minute, I know Bill's not doing that much stuff. I'll show you a way to maybe reset so you can start over with that particular contact so you don't keep getting notified that they're coming to the site maybe more than they really are. But understanding how this works is critical. So now what we'll do is we'll walk you through screen by screen some things you can do to A, mitigate the issue of your IP address ever being associated with anything, how to turn off individuals so you don't track them, and then how to reset somebody if, for instance, something's gotten a little weird where they've maybe forwarded it to a friend or they've got an IP address that just isn't accurate for them. Maybe that'll help fix some things for you there too. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to remove the IP address that you're located at, wherever you're using your computer. We don't want your IP address being assigned to any of your customers or anybody else's customers for that matter. So the best thing to do here is to just block that. So go ahead, once you've logged into Nerchur, click on your name here in the upper right-hand side, and then click Edit. Right here in this section here, we've got the ability to block IP addresses, and it actually shows that I'm logged in at this particular IP address. That's where I'm located right now. So I don't want that to be tracked anymore. I can just click block this IP, and it will add it down here to blacklisted IP addresses. If you have a specific address that you find that you don't want to track, maybe it's somebody else in a different division, that's, maybe somebody in Chicago, you just don't want to track them anymore, and you know what their IP address is, then you can just type one in and you can start blocking that. But that's the first step. That's going to help make sure that if you ever click on anything, your IP address doesn't get associated with a particular user or contact in your system. So go ahead and save that. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is look at how to block a particular person. Let's say I'm going to say I got 2 people at the same company. Here I've got Sierra and I've got Neil, let's say, and they're both end up with the same IP address because they work at the same company. But I know that Neil's not really going to buy anything from me. It's always going to be Sierra, and every time Neil clicks on stuff, it makes it look like Sierra's coming to the site, and vice versa. When Sierra clicks on things, it makes it look like Neil's coming to the site. It's just kind of a hassle. I'm tired of getting all the text messages. You can block a particular person if you'd like to. So on Neil, just click on his name or find the individual, and then in the gray bar here where it says track, all you need to do is say, I don't want to receive any alerts from Neil. That way you'll never get a text message from Neil again. He'll still show up as a recent visitor on your homepage or things, but you're not going to get a text message from Neil anymore. Not a bad way to maybe eliminate people, but to be honest with you, most of the time you don't need to do this unless you've got multiple people at the same company and you realize that maybe somebody doesn't need to be watched as often. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you is how to reset a contact. For whatever reason, let's just say that the contact keeps showing up as somebody that's visiting all the time, and you know it can't be accurate. In fact, let's just use Sierra as an example on this one. Let's just say you know she's out of town and she's not getting her emails, and yet she's showing up as hitting the site multiple times every day. during the week she's on vacation. A quick way to find out maybe what's going on with her particular tracking is, again, find the individual. Here we'll just click on her name and come back again up to track. Whoa, so check that out. Look at all of the IP addresses that are associated with Sierra's account. I don't know which one's her for sure, but man, there's a lot of them on here. And maybe that's why I'm having such the issue with her particular contact showing up all the time. What you can do is you can actually reset a contact. Now what this does is it clears any IP addresses that the system's tracking for that person. They're not going to track anymore until they get a new email and actually click on a link again. So it might take a while for them to, maybe you've noticed that at the first part of a month and we just sent out the email the week before and you've got 2 or 3 weeks before the next email is going to go out. It's your call, but if you notice it's just not working right and you don't want to track a bunch of bogus information, you're tired of getting text messages when you know she's out of town, just go ahead and hit reset contact. You'll notice it just cleared all of them. It says there has not been matched to any IP addresses. So now that won't start tracking again until she gets a new email with a link in it from nerchur that she clicks on. Again, when she does that, we're going to capture the IP address she's at that time, and we'll start tracking that IP address again. So that's maybe a way to notice if something's just gone kind of crazy and haywire. Again, all 3 of those will help mitigate some of the issues of getting too many text messages or getting some odd things showing up in your recent visitor list. You'll notice that once you've removed all of those things, even though she was on the list before, if I refresh that, she would disappear then. But again, just a way for you to mitigate some of those issues, but understanding how the system works and then maybe how to correct some of those things should help you out in the long run. You'll notice that Sierra dropped off that list. All right, appreciate it. Thanks.